Oh, what a nice morning. A little chilly on the bike, but without wind chill, it's not that bad actually. Wouldn't say it's warm, but it's not cold. So on this morning's ride to work, because it's not very exciting, as I've said I wanted to do in a different video, I want to talk about my project build, if you would, my old one. I've got to get around this guy as soon as I can. Got dirt, sand, or something in the back. I can't even tell if that's a tarp over the top or if it's just the cinder block sitting inside of the sand or dirt. But anyway, back to the bike. I put a picture of it up as it looked when I got it. Supposed to have a tarp over that. Legally, he's supposed to have a tarp over that, or some sort of cover. But anyway, put a picture up of the bike, what it looked like the day I got it. It was a 1981 Kawasaki KZ550. Found it on Craigslist, didn't run, 750 bucks. Now, somebody had already started their own version of a cafe racer project with it. The guy that I bought it from. Now, I lived in North Carolina and it was in South Carolina. So the title was out of state, said it had a title. So I go to the guy's house, pick it up, and he's got a lot of extra stuff with it. I mean, he had all the stock parts that he took off, stock seat, handlebars, fenders, lights, I mean everything. He had it from a complete stock bike, and I got all the parts with it. The bike was pretty much together. It did not have a battery. He said the battery was junk and he hadn't got a new one because he was working on the project. So it didn't have a battery. It did not have an exhaust, so it wouldn't have been good to run it anyway. Then some other things, didn't have brake lines, throttle cable, a bunch of stuff like that. I think the throttle cable was in the box of stock parts, but you know, it was old and chewed up. One thing that was kind of sketchy, everything worked out in the end, it was okay, but it was a little sketchy. You know, he said he had the title. When I picked it up, you know, I said, "You got the title?" You said you had the title, and he was like, "Yeah, here it is," and kind of, you know, showed it to me and said, "Here, I'll put it inside the owner's manual so he doesn't get bent or lost." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And me not really having done that before, I didn't really know anything, so I didn't look. And it was the title, but the back of the title had been signed already by somebody else and not transferred. And then somebody else wasn't even him. So he was like the third person to have the bike or whatever. And the title wasn't in his name. And now, when I found that out, I was like, well, you know, crap, what do I do? So I went to the DMV, I said, what do I do? And they said, well, you know, you got to get a hold of this person who's actually on the title and get them to basically get a new title, reissue title, so you can fill out the back and transfer it. Either that or you have to do what they call an indemnity bond, which is where basically the state, the police, whatever, they take your bike and, you know, know, they run the numbers, make sure it's not stolen, inspect it to make sure that it's road legal, and when everything all checks out, they put it in bond, and you have to get, there's a company, basically, it's not insurance like a car insurance company, they don't really do it, but a company will basically put up the money, there's a value assigned to what the bike's worth, and they put up the money, and you buy the bond for whatever percentage of that price. And basically what happens is the bond is, it's got a term length on it, and if you buy a bond, if the bond costs you $300 and the term is 2 years, within that 2 years, if somebody reports that bike stolen, basically they come and two things either happen. Either they take your bike and you get your $300 back, or they get the $300 and you keep the bike and they transfer it all over and all that. Basically, that's what happens. But I had looked into it anyway, and the bike didn't come up stolen, at least at the time, or anything like that. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll move forward with my project. But basically that was it. This guy had already bought, the tires were brand new. The front one, the sticker was gone, but you could tell it hadn't even been used. The back one still had the sticker on it. And he had the paperwork for the front forks where he had them rebuilt. So I had a 1981 KZ 550, had a new tank on it, a new gas tank from I don't know, 83 or 84 KZ, brand new tires and new rebuilt front forks. So that's what I started with. You know, the title was kind of weird. I'll get into what I did or didn't do about that later. But that's the condition it was in. It was in real nice shape. There was no rust on the frame or anything like that. And so real good shape, old bike. 750 bucks is what I bought it for. And I had all kinds of stuff with it, stock parts. And determined I'd start my project. So I'll get into some more on the next video, guys. Ride safe. See you on the next one.